A long time ago, in the land of Israel, the people had turned away from God. Because of this, God allowed their enemies, the Midianites, to take over. The Midianites would come every harvest season, taking crops and animals, leaving the Israelites with almost nothing. The people cried out to God for help. God heard them and chose a man named Gideon to rescue Israel. But Gideon was not a soldier or a leader. He was from a small tribe and felt unimportant. When God first spoke to him through an angel, Gideon was hiding in a winepress, trying to thresh wheat in secret. Still, God called him a mighty warrior and said, "I will be with you." Gideon wanted to be sure it was really God speaking, so he asked for signs, and God patiently gave them. One night, God told Gideon to tear down the altar of the false god Baal in his town. Gideon was afraid, so he did it at night, but he obeyed. Later, God told Gideon to gather an army to fight the Midianites. Gideon called out to the tribes of Israel, and 32,000 men came. But God said, "There are too many. If you win with this many, Israel will think they did it themselves." So God told Gideon to let anyone who was afraid go home. That left 10,000. Then God said again, "Still too many." So he gave Gideon a test. The men were brought to the water to drink, and God told Gideon to watch how they drank. Those who lapped the water like dogs were chosen, only 300 men. God said, "With these 300, I will save Israel." That night, God knew Gideon was still afraid, so he told him to sneak down to the enemy camp. Gideon heard 2 Midianite soldiers talking about a dream. One of them dreamed a loaf of bread, tumbled into their camp, and knocked down a tent. The other said, "That must mean God will give us into Gideon's hands." This gave Gideon courage. Gideon returned to camp and gave each of the 300 men a trumpet and a jar with a torch inside. In the middle of the night, they surrounded the Midianite camp. At Gideon's signal, they blew their trumpets, broke the jars, and shouted, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites panicked. They ran and even turned on each other. God caused confusion, and the enemy fled. Israel was saved, not because of a big army or great weapons, but because God was with them. This teaches us that God can use anyone, even someone who feels small or unsure. Gideon was afraid, but he listened to God and obeyed. We also learn that God doesn't need big numbers or strong people to do big things. He wants us to trust Him. When we are weak, He is strong. So whenever you feel like you're not enough, remember Gideon. With God, a small army became mighty. Thanks for watching. See you next time.